What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm back with, unfortunately, a terribly sad story. In this one, a 14-year-old girl is sent to a religious camp because of her sexuality by her crazy parents. Now, what makes this even worse somehow is that her parents actually tricked their son, her brother, into paying for the whole thing. It's a pretty ridiculous story. Does it have a positive ending? I really hope so, but stay tuned to find out. Let's get into this. I found out that my younger sister was sent away to a religious camp for her sexuality by my evangelical parents, who lied and took money from me, I believe, to fund it. I am furious. I posted a thing here 2 years ago that helped me with an uncomfortable situation involving a boss at work, and it helped me save a good friendship and my job. So hopefully you guys can help me again with a much more serious situation. Now, this was actually originally posted to r/legal advice. I don't remember that account, so I've made a new one. I need to give a little background to explain the situation. I work as a computer engineer and live away from my parents. I moved out when I was 18, not because we had a particularly distant relationship, but because I was very hungry for independence and I didn't want to go to college like they wanted me to. I fell in love with programming and got a job a month after I graduated, and I've done that since. I'm extremely frugal and I now make about $70,000 a year after taxes. Go Mr. Money Moustache. Both my parents are in traditional white-collar jobs that make significantly more money than I do, and they are horrific with money. When I was growing up, my parents were semi-religious, church on Easter and Christmas type of deal, and not particularly invested in it or politics. Somewhere in the last 3 or 4 years, they became interested. And in the last year in particular, regarding the last election especially, they've become some of the most religious and over-focused political people I've ever seen. I've tried distancing myself from this by refusing to talk about these issues over the phone at all. I couldn't disagree more with them. I think they have some very hateful views, but I've chosen not to engage them on it. Growing up, I was not close to my younger sister, mainly because of our age gap. However, she's grown up and is very pleasant to speak to. We've spoken on the phone daily. I speak to mum and dad much less frequently since she was around 14. I've not been exposed to too much of this because I intentionally tell both sides I don't want to talk about their drama. Although I'm generally clear with my sister that I agree with her, but I don't want to badmouth her parents. My sister is a lesbian, which I have no issue with whatsoever, and my parents do not, or did not, know, and would immediately be against it if they did. We talked about this quite often. My sister also has political views completely at odds with my parents. She was in trouble for not supporting their favourite political candidate. You can probably guess who. But I encouraged her to swallow it and suck it up at home for her safety and sanity. She mentioned a few times in the last 2 months about wanting to come out to them, and I highly discouraged it. I've heard both of my parents approve of a pastor who disowned his gay son and similar stories. I didn't want them to do that to her. I've offered to let her live with me when she turns 18, but I imagined that being in the future. I made her promise not to do that, and she did. On her 16th birthday though, she came out to them. I was a little angry with her over the phone. I didn't curse or scream or anything, but I was annoyed, but with sympathy for her position. I did chide her a bit, which I acknowledged was dumb. She was extremely mad at me and didn't call me for 4 days, which was a long time for us not to speak. We spoke afterwards and I was much better, but things weren't going well. They didn't kick her out, but they weren't speaking to her at all. Literally, she was screaming at them and they would just quietly go into their rooms, not saying a word. I offered to speak to them for her and she begged me not to, so I didn't, against my better judgment. My dad, a week later, called me over the phone. He said that he was sick and needed emergency money to have a procedure. He begged me not to tell mum or my sister. He needed about 20 grand. I'd refused the money in the past for a car loan and made it clear that I wasn't giving them money, but I did for this. Cautious, but ultimately trusting him not to lie about his own potential death. Yeah, I disagreed with him about a lot of things, but he'd always been so steadfast about the importance of honesty. The thought of him lying about something like that seems ridiculous, and I felt guilty for even thinking that. About another week after that, my sister stopped calling me. I thought she was mad again for some reason, but she didn't answer at all. I was worried. I called my parents and I asked about her after about a week, and they said she was being moody. I thought they thought I didn't know about her sexuality or what was going on. I checked my Facebook that night and I read a days-old message from one of her friends that explained that she had been trying to reach me and that my sister was taken from her house into a van and driven off by men in a program with her and my parents there before kicking the friend out of the house. Her friend visited my parents' house several times and they eventually told her they sent her to a religious program. She didn't get the name. I called up my father and he denied it twice before admitting it after a long talk. I was so angry. They seriously have these religious camps that parents can send teens to anytime without committing a crime forever. I didn't think it had anything to do with the money, but I looked it up after that and found out that these programs are generally very expensive. I called him up again and he admitted that's where the money went. I demanded that he let her out and he told me it was his money. I told him I'd never speak to him again and he just ignored me. I've tried calling him up every few hours for the last several days when I found out, and they ignore almost all of my calls. He intentionally didn't tell me the name of the facility or camp, but I've done reading and these are almost always dangerous places. I don't even know if she is in the US anymore. People die and get brainwashed at these places. I feel so guilty for giving them the ability to do this. I don't know the name of the camp and I did technically give them the money. My only recourse at this point is to go to tell everyone in the neighborhood what they did. I saw a Facebook post they made about sending my sister to a snooty Christian boarding school, and that is not what they did. I called the school they posted and she isn't going there. They're very connected to the church/suburban town community, and I think it would threaten them to have their image splattered with the truth. I would completely disown them now if it wouldn't completely destroy my chances of getting her out. I'm at a loss. Please help me. Wow. Okay, so there we go for the first post, and wow, what a start. Before I give my thoughts and jump into the comments though, I do just want to mention something very important for you guys watching right now, my engaged core audience. If you are watching this video on YouTube, you are one of those people. So listen to what I have to say next because you're going to find it very interesting. I want to trial something. So the next video I make will not be posted on this channel. It's going to be posted on my second channel called Redditor Extra. I'll show it on screen right now. There'll be a link down below in the description and the pinned comment. And tomorrow, I'm going to be posting a video on that channel on Redditor Extra, and it's not going to be posted on here. It's going to be a typical Redditor video, the ones that you know and love, but I'm going to post it on that channel and not on here. Now, to explain why I'm doing that, it's just an experiment, but I do want to see if a shorter video, so not a 3-hour movie length video, will perform better on another channel. So that's the reason I'm doing it. It's just an experiment. And also if you're listening on a podcast platform, nothing will change for you. Everything is still going to be in the same place. On YouTube though, if you want to catch tomorrow's video, then yeah, subscribe to the other channel, Redditor Extra. I'll leave a link as I said down below. Turn notifications on that as well. The thumbnail will be the same. It will all look the same. It will just be posted on a different channel. So if you don't want to miss that, and if you are one of my key viewers that watches every single day, you are the sort of person that I want to bring with me to the other channel and really sort of build a super engaged audience over there. I'm just trying things out. So come with me, link down below, subscribe to that channel, and I'll see you over there tomorrow with a video just like this one. But if you don't go over there, you may not see the video. So I'm giving you a warning, go over there and subscribe. I'm just testing things out really to see if the video will perform better, reach a more suitable audience over on that channel rather than on this one, which has been around now for what, almost 7 years and has had loads of different iterations of content, loads of different audiences throughout COVID, etc. So just trialing it out and we'll see what happens. But one last time, if you want to watch tomorrow's video, it will not be posted on this channel. It will be on Redditor Extra. Go and subscribe. Okay then, let's get into the comments on this one. Somebody said, this is very, very difficult. Remember guys, this was posted on r/legal advice at first. So the comments, the help is going to be with that in mind. They say, under the law in most of the US and most of the world, parents have a right to decide how to raise their minor children. There are some facilities for brainwashing people out of being gay, which are so horrific that I have little better terms to describe them other than torture. In fact, a couple of US states have actually passed laws against these places, but that doesn't help much because parents have a right to send their children to someplace else that doesn't have such a restriction. There's very little you can do about it, legally. On the other hand, there is a major legal issue where you do have leverage. From your description, it sounds like there is a plausible argument that your father committed fraud to scam you out of $20,000. If you pursued this, there's a decent chance that you could get law enforcement involved, and it is not impossible that your father could be convicted of a felony for such a fraud. You certainly could sue to get the money back, and could probably get a judgment to garnish his wages, seize his bank accounts, and so forth until you've been repaid. The most obvious thing to do would be, quote, "Dad, pull my sister out of that program and either let her live with you unmolested or else send her to live with me. If you don't, then I'll press charges and get you thrown in prison for fraud." Now, don't do that though, because that would be blackmail. At least I think it would, depending on the exact wording. With a very careful approach, it may be possible, depending on the exact details of the laws on blackmail in your state, which I do not know well enough to advise you on, to get that same message across without actually committing blackmail. If I were to do such a thing, I'd probably find a lawyer who could help me figure out how to use this without committing a felony of your own. Because if I understand you correctly, you're not happy about the $20,000, but your real concern is for your sister. My heart goes out to you and her, and I wish you the best of fortune and a successful outcome. What a great comment. Oprah replied, saying, "It's worth mentioning that I do have 2 texts of him mentioning the need for money for the emergency and a short voicemail of him thanking me for the money. I don't know whether that would constitute proof or not, but I assume so. I would assume that he wouldn't be able to get a refund for the money anyway, and therefore unable to have the financial stuff get her out quicker without going the quasi-blackmail route. So I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much." Somebody else added, "I have a very strong feeling that you should just look for a lawyer because nothing that we recommend should be taken into consideration really due to the serious nature of the situation. Find a lawyer to discuss if there is any way to gain custody of your sister, then talk to a GSA of some sort and find out what type of trauma she might end up dealing with and what to do if you get her, because who knows what they could be doing to her." Oh. Horrible to think about. All right, update to come, of course, but I do just want to give my thoughts on how horrific this is, first of all. Some great advice there. My initial thinking is that there's not really that much that can be done legally. Like, if you give money to somebody in your family and they say it's for an emergency and it's not, yeah, it's like fraudulent, but is it legally fraudulent? I don't think it technically is, especially, well, at least I don't think it is in the UK. I don't know how the law works in America, but I think, like, if I get money from my parents and I say I'm going to use it for something and then I actually use it for something else and there's no like written agreement or contract signed, I don't think there's anything they can do about that. I'm not sure about that. Let me know in the comments down below. The main thing is, why do these camps exist in the first place? Like, that is the main point here. What are these things? Why would you ever send your kid to one of these? I didn't actually know that places like this actually really existed. I thought they were just made up for movies and like fiction. Are they actually real? Are they actually a thing? I've never really researched them, but I suppose they are. Religious camps to sort of try and change someone's sexuality. How ridiculous is that still exists in this day and age? All right, 2 days later, we got the following update. I got an incredible amount of varying advice and support that I really appreciate. I explained the situation to my boss, who was very supportive and gave me some time off without an issue to deal with this. Last night, I left home and drove to them. They live in another part of Florida, but we all lived there. And I tried having a rational conversation with my parents. I pointed out the abuse I was learning was regularly happening at these communities. I told them all the stuff I've learned about these places. I demonstrated that it wouldn't even change her sexuality or opinion, but they just called me a liar or ignored me. I've never seen my parents in a lower regard. I didn't even bring up the money because I had a feeling that if I mentioned it, my dad would kick me out. Both of them seemed incredibly nonchalant about the entire thing. Then I made an appointment with a lawyer and then later another. Both of them were LGBT friendly and had at least some experience with similar situations, and both spent an hour explaining to me how I am completely legally screwed due to the nature of the gift, and that I have absolutely zero legal grounds in getting my sister out, and that without even the name of the place, I can literally do nothing. I'm completely screwed. One drilled into me that I shouldn't post about this to their friends, or it may make any legal action that could be possible later impossible. But both basically told me there wasn't a thing to be done. I was at my wit's end, and I had a last-ditch plan. I drove back to my father's home and told him I would give him my remaining savings, around 65k, but I lied and said 55k so I'd have something, if he took her out of the camp and let her live with me. I was amazed that he would even consider it because I always considered him such a high moral figure, but he stepped in the room with my mother for 5 minutes and said yes, but only if I didn't involve the police. I told him he would need to sign a contract and wait a few days, and he told me he may not have an issue with that. He needs to think, but he didn't want her legally in my name, although she can live with me, as he doesn't want to be on the bill for child support. I wanted to spit in his face, but I refrained. This just happened less than an hour ago. I made another appointment with another attorney tomorrow, but I don't think this is possible and I may not just show up at the office. If I give him the money without any obligation to return it, he'd just take it and do nothing. My idea at the moment is to agree to give them the money without a contract as soon as she is out and back at the house and I see her, and then take her and move to another state with her until she graduates. I can keep working in my current job from online until I get a new one. My father basically gave the impression that he'd completely disowned her anyway, and I don't think he would spend the money a second time to get her in another place, but obviously I'm just guessing. Obviously I cannot have a legal contract written where I buy custody of a minor. Can I have one where they promise not to send her to another institution like that? Like she must go to and graduate from X high school or something, or you must return the money? Is there anything I can do to make this work in a way where she is out and with me, whether in my name with custody or not, and they don't have legal grounds to come and track us down and send her somewhere else? This sounds insane, but I am insane. I'm so worried. I'm vomiting randomly from guilt and stress. I can't sleep, so I'm going to down a few sleeping pills so I can go to bed. Thank you very much. You have helped me immensely. It's disgusting how much the legal system can screw over innocent teens. I've never felt more angry during a 4th of July in my life. I don't know how we can profess freedom when stuff like this still happens and is legally justifiable. Okay, and without further ado, let's jump in to the final update of this one. This was posted 25 days later. This will be a short update, but the situation with my sister has ended on a positive note. It has been resolved. Currently, I'm in the hospital. I initially thought I had a bad flu from stress following the incident, but I wasn't getting better, and yesterday I went to the doctor. She ordered me to the hospital for a spinal tap, and I actually contracted bacterial meningitis, so I'm not doing so well in that regard. I'm bored and feeling like garbage, but I've got free time and I've been meaning to write because this was just resolved. If this isn't entirely coherent, I apologize. My brain is obviously a bit fried right now. This is going to be horribly shortened. So, I didn't give my father any money, and we both basically ended up pretending that I never offered the money and that he never theoretically accepted it. I found out the camp she was staying in. My mother frequently needs computer help, and it was one of those terribly described religious therapy camps several states away. I found several horror stories online from people who have attended this camp, and I showed it to my mum and dad and found a sympathetic religious figure from the community they both respected, and convinced them, after much struggling, to go and pick her up with me. We did, and ended up flying there and picking her up with a lot of trouble. They didn't want to let me in at all, and took an extremely long time letting her see us, which made my parents very, very mad, and my parents were very upset about the small parts of the facility we were allowed to see. They told us our sister would lie and that they should go without seeing her, which made them madder. I thought we were going to have to call the police, but we eventually got her out after many hours spent there. I was nervous she'd yell at them, but she knew to pretend she had changed without me needing to tell her. She's back home as of several days ago. I'm in the hospital as of yesterday. My parents are basically pretending they were tricked into the place being a 4-star resort, and they're laughing the whole thing off like they are equal victims in this, And this was all a wacky adventure where they stole my money and sent my sister to abusive gay prison. Me and my sister have discussed it privately, and we've agreed that she will not make any waves until 18, and then she can live with me during college. Sadly, we still have 2 years until then. I despise my parents, and I cannot say a thing to them, which is infuriating. I hate their hypocrisy and BS, but we both have to swallow it for the moment. I'm finished with them completely, and I plan never to speak to them again after my sister turns 18. This is written badly, but it's taken me forever and I can't really think to write now. This is definitely missing info, but those are the main points. Thank you for all the advice. It's helped me get through the worst month of my life. Okay, so there we go. At least there was a positive ending to this one, but yeah, what a shocking story. I mean, first of all, the fact that this happened in the first place is shocking, like your sister being sent to a religious camp. The abuse that must go on there, I have no idea. Like going to a camp where the whole point of it is telling you that you are not actually who you are. That is crazy. Like, how psychologically damaging must that be? Also, I have no idea what goes, like, how do you teach that? What is the practice that takes place there? If you know, I would say comment down below, but I don't really want to know. Like, it's just abuse, isn't it? It has to be. And then secondly, from your point of view, OP, I cannot imagine like the horror, the fear, knowing as this story progresses that you're the one that's actually bankrolled this whole thing. Obviously, you didn't know. It's not your fault. You're actually being really selfless and being a great person by in theory, helping out your dad with his medical issues. But in reality, knowing that your money is what's caused your sister to go to this ridiculous camp, I mean, that is just terrifying. So yeah, again, as I said, like at least there was a positive outcome to this one and things should all be all right. But even like knowing now that you've had an agreement with your sister to sort of lay low for the next 4 years until she's 18, that's also terrifying. Like surely something else is going to happen within those 4 years that could be life-changing once again. I don't know. Very scary situation, and I agree with your overall point that people, teenagers, legally can do very little about their lives and can be, completely horribly treated like we saw in this story. Shocking story, but yeah, at least there was a decent outcome. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. One last reminder, and this is only if you are watching on the Redditor YouTube channel. Once again, if you're listening on podcast platforms, don't worry. Tomorrow's episode will be going live on Redditor Extra, not on here. So you need to subscribe to that channel. I will put it on the end screen. It will be over here by my right hand somewhere. And if you're watching this video a day later than it's come out, then the end screen over here, I'll put it top left over here, will be that video on Redditor Extra. If not, just go to the channel, subscribe, turn notifications on. I will see you all over there tomorrow. I'll be in the comments as well if you've got any questions about it and you're not sure if it makes sense, whatever. I understand it's probably confusing, but I'm just trialing something. So I'll catch you there tomorrow. Have a good one.